Welcome back to 50 Shades of Shilamida with your hostess, Shilamida. We're listening to Season 2, Episode 9. So for today, I wanted to bring to you the theory of from first class to freedom. This is something that came up on a mentorship call for me probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when we were unpacking shame and guilt. And what people really don't understand, my view of life, is that heaven and hell is not a place that we go to after we leave here. Heaven and hell is a place that we actually live in here on earth. Heaven is a place that we get to touch when we have worked through a lot of the things that is holding us back, and shame and guilt is what keeps us in hell. And if you look at most of the people who are living through life right now, they are living in utter hell because the words and the thoughts and the things that are coming through your mind are controlling your very happiness and stopping you from getting to heaven. If you actually think about the perception of heaven and hell of when we die, that you leave your body here and you go to these pearly white gates where everybody is wearing white, or on the flip side, you go to a place that's fiery hot and there's a lot of fire burning, like it just doesn't even make sense that that's what would happen. But what I know about energy is that energy is never destroyed. And so our bodies, they house our energy, right? So that's what separates us. The only thing that separates us is our body. And in our body, we get to experience love, pain, sadness, joy, anger, fear, right? That is the whole purpose of being in a body, because if we didn't have our body, we would just be energy. And when we're just energy, we live in bliss because there's no feeling in bliss. It's just we get to be in this euphoria, right? And so once we enter our bodies, the reason why we enter our bodies is because we want to experience the duality of what bliss feels like in the opposite, what it feels like to kiss somebody and then be rejected, what it feels like to get a job and then get wrongfully fired, what it feels like to enter your dream college only to figure out that you're overwhelmed and you can't handle it. There are so many things that happen in the duality of life. And so somebody posted on my Facebook the other day, I saw a post that said, money solves 99.9% of your problems. And I responded and I'm like, that is not the truth. Money solves a lot of problems, don't get me wrong, but money does not solve 99.9% of your problems. Emotional intelligence does. And learning how to live in duality and learning how to understand emotions and how to have compassion for others and radical forgiveness, like there's a big piece of the puzzle that money cannot solve. And that's why I started this with from first class to freedom, because that's the truth. It's not money that buys you freedom. Money can, of course, get you some freedom. Obviously, a lot of money can buy you time freedom. A lot of money can buy you the freedom of buying anything you desire, the freedom of eating anything you want when you want to eat. Like all of those things are truly important, but that does not solve 99.9% of your problems. If you are not happy on the inside, if you are not fully, what's the word I'm looking for? Like truly satisfied and fulfilled and, have all of that inside, then you're not going to find true freedom. Money cannot buy you true freedom. That comes from releasing the guilt, the shame, the things that have been holding you back because of the stories that you're creating in your mind. No dollar amount is going to stop that replay in your mind. Only you can do that through your healing work. So it's really important to take a look at yourself and where you're living at right now and the things that are holding you back. If money is one of the obstacles that is holding you back, I want you to know that no amount of money is ever enough. That once you start making the money, that you're always going to be chasing another dollar amount. You're always going to be trying to get more. And this is really important to understand. I hate when people used to say to me, well, money can't buy you happiness, because that statement just sucks, right? Especially when you don't have money and you are watching all these people with money in your life, but those people are fucking happy. You know, she looks really happy on her vacation and she looks really happy in her car, and looks happy and being happy are two totally different things. So we need to really understand that. And we need to get to a place to understanding of, yes, money helps you to have certain types of freedoms. Money helps you to have short levels of dopamine hits of happiness. Money helps you with things that you desire to acquire, but money will not help you with your emotional your emotional freedom, your emotional intelligence. That is something that you need to work on all by yourself. And that is something that happens way before you have money. Or it's something that's going to come really hard for you after you have money. And that's what happened in my case. When I first met my husband, he was a wealthy man, and, you know, his plan was to retire me in 12 to 24 months. I was in my second year of acupuncture school. I was struggling on food stamps. I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent. And here this man comes into my world and tells me he's going to retire me in 12 to 24 months. And I freaking love that. I wanted that. I wanted to retire. I was 31 years old, but in the same token, I didn't want to retire. I wanted to be a very successful entrepreneur. I wanted to be an acupuncturist and healer. Like, I wanted things, but the money seemed like the way that I wanted to go. And retiring me in 12 to 24 months was like, yes, please do that for me. But the truth is that my husband entered into a 6.5-year divorce, and that was not the reality of retiring me in 12 to 24 months. So when I graduated from acupuncture school, I went to work and I became very successful on my own. I had a practice that was a multi-six-figure a year practice. I definitely made $1 million in the time that I practiced acupuncture. And I'm so grateful for that, because I was able to grow my emotional intelligence in that time. Had my husband actually retired me in the first 12 to 24 months that we were together, I probably would still be a teenager trapped in an adult body. Because when my husband and I first met, I was probably at the emotional intelligence of like a 7-year-old. And I grew up in those first 6.5 years because I had to. That was one of the hardest things I've ever lived through in my life, living through his divorce. And it sucked because I was like a child trapped in an adult body. And so people think like, oh, once you have money, money buys you happiness. And let me tell you, meeting him and having access to money definitely made my life easier. I didn't have to worry about eating a meal. I didn't have to worry about, going on vacation. I didn't have to worry about desiring for something, because he provided for me the things in the physical world that I was not able to provide myself with. However, the one thing that he was not able to provide me with was the emotional intelligence to handle everything that was happening in our life. And one of the statements that you hear a lot is more money, more problems. And that is the truth. The more money you have, the more problems you have, because you live a bigger, bolder life where there are more things to handle and take care of. My husband owns a business with 175 employees. There's problems all the time. And so an emotionally unintelligent woman is not able to handle that. A lot of the women, they look at my life and they think, oh, I want to live like her. Oh, I want to have a husband like that. But the truth is that most women would not be able to handle our dynamic. My husband works 24/7. There is not a day that the man takes a break. And if he does take a break, he still has his phone on. He still has his computer on. He's still working. There are no dinners that the phones go off at. There are no vacations that there are no computers at. It is just a part of our life and our existence. And so it works for us because there was a big part of our relationship that I was a workaholic, he was a workaholic, and so we were both addicts in the fact that we were workaholics. And now that I have retired from my acupuncture practice and I don't work as much and my role is more stay-at-home mom and wife, it is a big differentiation because now it's harder. It's harder to have a husband that works 24/7 when I'm not working alongside of him. So I find a lot of projects that I do. I write books and I take on clients here and there, and I do retreats every so often so that I buy my time so that I feel busy. And one of the things that really was a damper in my life was the fact that when I retired as an acupuncturist, I did that so that I can open up time and space to figure out what my next move would be in the online space. Because prior to COVID, my dream was to be a motivational speaker and to speak on big stages. And then when COVID happened, that kind of crushed that dream for a while, because who knew when the world was going to open and when people were going to start doing events again. And so I tried the whole coaching thing, which I never wanted to be a coach. I didn't go from working with people one-to-one in acupuncture to wanting to work with people one-to-one in the online coaching space. And I'm so grateful that I created a membership where I have a group, because when I speak to multiple people, and that just lights up my world, knowing that I'm able to help multiple people at one time. And so instead of giving myself the time and space to really figure that out, I jumped straight into selling Pure Haven, which I also love. But the thing with Pure Haven is that in order to make money and to be successful in a direct sales or an MLM type of company, you need to work that company like a business. It is a business. And that's why people fail at direct sales and MLMs, because they just think, oh, I'm just going to do a post on Facebook and 100 people are going to buy my product. But that's not the way it works. You have to do outreach. You have to do gatherings. You have to bring people together. There is a lot that is involved in being in a business like that. And so I put all my eggs in that basket, and I was working harder than I was working as an acupuncturist, and I was making a fraction of the money that I was making as an acupuncturist. But in that time, it was okay because I didn't know how to deal with the void. There was a huge void that came with retiring as an acupuncturist. I had a huge grieving period where I felt like there was a death that was occurring in my life, but it was just the death of my career. And so I needed to fill the time and space. And I jumped straight into another business to fill the time and space, but it wasn't fulfilling for me. It actually made me very bitter because I wasn't having the same financial gain. Now, the nice thing about being in direct sales and MLM is I was being seen, recognized, and admired, which in my own business, I didn't have that because I'm the only one who was able to see, recognize, and admire myself. And as a projector, that's really important. So all of this is to say that wherever you are in your life right now, if you think that money is going to solve your problems, it's not. And I hate to be the one to tell you that, but it's really important for you to understand that if you're not working on your emotional intelligence, you're not practicing gratitude every day, you're not working in your shadows, you're not figuring out the things that have gotten to you to where you are, all the money in the world is not going to solve your problems. It's going to give you a temporary dopamine hit. It's going to make you happy for a moment. It's going to solve some of your problems, but it's not going to get you to heaven on earth. And I'm telling you this from the core of my being, from the depths of my soul. Like, this is the truth that I know. And so you really need to find your happy now, and your happy now is fulfillment with yourself. self-love, self-respect. Once you find that, then you find that with a partner. Can you do that in partnership? Then you find that with your children. Are you able to have that kind of relationship with your children? Because for me, my relationship with my children in the beginning was so hard. I hated being a mom. I struggled so bad with it because I was not nurtured as a child. My parents both worked in the city when we lived in New Jersey at a very young age. I was being raised by my brother. He was 10 years old. I was 5. I didn't have the love, the nurturing, the security that I needed. And so I turned to food. This is something that I'm now unpacking because I have these vicious food cycles and I have body dysmorphia. And so I really am trying to dig deep right now in order to solve this issue. And so all the money in the world doesn't solve the fact that I still look at myself in the mirror and I sometimes can't stand what I see looking back at me. And sure, money can buy me a diet, money can buy me a procedure, but all of that stuff doesn't matter because the cycles are still there. I've done all of the things and here I am at 46 years old and I'm still in the cycles. And what really sucks is that I'm so emotionally intelligent about it and I'm so aware that I'm in the cycle that it sucks even more, because when you know and you can't get yourself out of it, that really sucks. So from first class to freedom is where the true freedom occurs. Freedom is something that you find from within. It's not something that money will buy you. I thank you so much for joining me week after week and listening to my stories, listening to the wisdom. I hope to see you in one of my containers. Or if you need some support immediately, please buy one of my books, one of my journals on Amazon. They will completely help you in your existence and bring you into a state of happiness that you haven't felt in a long, long time. I do all of these things. I've created all of these things because I get it. I've been where you are. I felt what you feel. And I totally get it. And I know that there's a way out of it. So I hope that you trust the message that you've received. I love you so much. And I will see you on the internet.